I'm Dan Grabois. I'm horn faculty at Bennington Colgate Week 4, and I've been doing that for around 15 years. And in my day job, I'm the horn professor at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. And I'm coming to you from my basement music studio in Madison, Wisconsin. And I want to talk to you about rhythm today. Rhythm is, of course, extremely important in music. Now, you may say to me, I have bad rhythm, and what the hell difference is it anyway? And I want to just analyze your question, and I want to analyze it this way. I have bad rhythm, and what the hell difference does it make anyway? We speak in rhythm. Rhythm is not a complicated code that must be unpacked, analyzed, and digested. Notation is the code by which everyday rhythms are written down on a piece of paper. And if you come at rhythm with the understanding that rhythm is found in our everyday speech, it will seem much less alien to you. So, for instance, if I showed you this rhythm, you might say to me, well, I have bad rhythm, and what the hell difference does it make anyway? And you'll notice that that's exactly what I've notated here. Da 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 da. I have bad rhythm, and what the hell difference does it make anyway? When we play rhythms of our piece, we're trying to put forward the marching rhythms, the speech rhythms, the flow of the notes that we're playing. Why is this important? Let me give you a whole bunch of reasons. Number one, in your ensemble, the group needs to stay together, which means everybody needs to feel rhythms together. And not just individual rhythms, but the pulse of a piece. And not just the pulse, but the way the pulse feels. The word that I use for the way the pulse feels, which I've stolen from the world of popular music, is groove. The groove is the way the pulse feels. Sometimes the pulse can feel very held back, as if it's difficult to move the music through time. Otherwise, the pulse can feel very forward, as if it's flowing easily through time. And we have to figure out what we want the rhythm of the music to feel like. Once we're all feeling the groove together, it's much easier to stay together. I'll note that if people use their bodies to demonstrate the groove, it's much easier because we then have a visual from everybody of the groove in addition to feeling it together. So number one, we need good rhythm because we need to be able to play the piece in its feeling, and we need to be able to stay together. Number two, our bodies need to be coordinated with themselves. If you remember back to 5th, 6th grade, 7th grade, there were some kids who were just good athletes, some kids who weren't good athletes. And what we would always say about the good athletes is they're very coordinated. Anna is very coordinated. Timmy is very uncoordinated. And why do we use the word coordinated and for the athletically gifted and not another word like athletically gifted or good at sports? Well, they're coordinated because their bodies move in a rhythm that is true globally, universally within their body. So their legs, their hands, their head, everything is moving together coordinatedly. And playing a musical instrument is, of course, very similar to an athletic activity. We're typically not running or even moving, but we have many body parts that coordinate. In the case of string players, a bow arm, which is doing something very different from a left hand. In the case of brass players, fingers, air, lips, all working together. For woodwind players, many fingers plus embouchure. And in the case of percussion players, often all 4 limbs at once that need to be coordinated. And time is the thing in the world that we use to coordinate all those things. If we're not feeling time, we don't really have a chance to play well. So by practicing feeling time evenly, we'll be able to coordinate our bodies. And this is why we practice with a metronome, because playing an instrument calls for a lot of RAM in our brains. We have to think about blowing or bowing or hitting. We have to think about pitches. We have to think about intonation. We have to think about attack and release. And there's not a whole lot of brain power left to think about rhythm and to listen to how we're doing. So by delegating rhythm to the metronome, we enable ourselves to compare our own inner sense of rhythm to an unbiased feeling of the beat. Now, I know that my metronome often rushes when I come to a complicated passage and drags when I come to a very slow passage, but I've learned to adapt to its whims, and I suggest that you do the same. Unfortunately, when we delegate the authority of rhythm to the metronome, we really abdicate authority for the rhythm. And so it's important also to practice without the metronome, keeping track of rhythm internally. And as you get more and more used to it, like many of the complicated things we do in our lives, the more you do it, the more you're able to do it without thinking about it. But feeling rhythm is always something that should be foremost in your mind. It will keep you together with your colleagues. It'll make mastery of your instrument much easier. It'll make the music feel alive. It'll make it dance or sing or cry. And all of that comes from your feeling of the beat. And you can always remember that anything that you see notated on the page, no matter how complicated, can always be reproduced in words in a way that has a flow, a linguistic flow that means something for you. So turn your complicated rhythms into spoken phrases, and you'll see that the notation system, which may look daunting, as in this case, is not so daunting afterwards. It's just a code which you can break with a little bit of work and with an incredible reward once you have mastered it. Thank you so much. Good luck to everybody and good health to everybody.